5 tips to help you start reading today. Tip number 1, schedule time. Tip number 2, eliminate distractions. Tip number 3, read a summary. Tip number 4, use Audiobooks. And tip number 5, don't be afraid to stop and switch books. Now let's talk about it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boy. It sound right, boy.
What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the Richest Steve in Atlanta. Today we're talking about 5 tips to help you start reading today. Let me start by saying, if you're not reading yet, what are you doing? Most of us are young, in our 20s, early 30s, so we can get the most benefits if we start now. There are benefits like reduced stress. With just 6 minutes a day of reading, you're able to reduce stress by 68%. And I figured out from unplugging for a little while and just enjoying a book, you're able to escape into a whole new world, freeing you from responsibilities for just a short moment. Another benefit, depending on what time you read, it can allow you to be more relaxed, letting you sleep better. When many of us before bed were on our phones, scrolling through Instagram and Twitter, it's really not good for us. Instead, if we put our phones away and reach for a good book, we'll get better sleep, allowing us to be more productive the next day. And finally, the most important benefit from reading has to be that you will gain wisdom and knowledge from other people. I once heard that a book will be the cheapest mentor you'll ever have. And when I tell you, that is not a lie. Reading has allowed me to tap into the mind of others, presenting me a chance to learn from them and then apply what I've learned into my life. All right, now 5 tips to help you read today. Tip number 1, schedule time to read every day. By doing this, you turn reading from being a spontaneous activity to being a scheduled event that you do every day, which will make reading less of a hassle and less time consuming because you already have it scheduled into your day. The crazy thing is, it doesn't matter what time of day you pick neither. It can be in the morning when you wake up, in the afternoon, during lunch, or at night before you go to bed. The choice is yours. All you need is those 6 minutes of reading so that you can receive your benefits of reduced stress. I personally would recommend 30 minutes though, that way you can set a pace to finishing your book a little faster. Tip number 2, eliminate your distractions. So what are our biggest distractions? We got people, music, TV, video games, and the biggest one of all, are cell phones. For people, you have to find some way to get away from your family and friends. Go find somewhere in your house that's nice and quiet where you can get some alone time. For music, TV, and your video games, just go and cut all that off. Cut off your favorite song, cut off your favorite movie, and cut off that PlayStation 4 because we don't need no background noise to distract us. And for your cell phone, I know it's gonna be hard because we have our whole life inside of that little box, from Instagram, Twitter, group chats, watching videos. It's just all a distraction. So just go ahead, put it away, put that thing on D&D, do not disturb, throw it to the side, forget about it. Trust me, you're not missing anything. Tip number 3, read a summary. This is important because you want to make sure you're getting a book that you will actually enjoy. Trust me, there's nothing worse than getting a book that you don't like or it adds no value to what you're trying to accomplish at all. For me, I like to know a little bit about the book before I read it. That way I know what I'm going to learn in the book. It just helps me to digest everything and understand it more. I usually just get my summaries from YouTube though. I like that some creators provide illustrations with the summary and it just adds more to the whole experience in my eyes. Tip number 4. Use audiobooks. One of my biggest problems with reading a physical book is I will read the book but not register one word in my head. Like, I can't be the only one who's read a whole page of a book and can't remember anything that happened on that page. Another thing, reading puts me straight to sleep. I don't know what it is about reading, but it just be so peaceful. Like, I open up the book and before I even finish chapter 1, I'm over there snoring. I wake up with the book laying on my chest and Anyways, for those 2 reasons, I use audiobooks. I just follow along in the book and listen to the words. I think it's because it kind of resembles watching TV, and I'm able to stay awake and consume all the words and digest all the information, so it's a plus for me. Tip number 5. Don't be afraid to stop and switch books. To me, this is the most important tip of them all. Because if you get stuck on a dull or difficult read, you will eventually stop reading. I remember one time I was reading this book. It was a little bit more informational heavy. But the book was just so boring. Like, it got to the point from the beginning of the book, the information was just going right over my head. I wasn't retaining anything and I had to keep restarting the book trying to understand what was going on. And it just got to a point where I started to avoid reading this book. Once I decided to drop the book and just move on, the next book, I was right back to being happy. Enjoying the book, reading it, making progress, understanding everything, gaining the knowledge, everything was going fine. So now, if I sense that a book is just not a read for me, I'm quick to switch that book. And I'll eventually, try it again in the future. But for right now, it just wasn't for me. To end this off, if you're the type of person that say, I like math, I don't read, or read captions and post on Instagram and Twitter all day but don't read books, or you just don't like to read, go ahead, implement those 5 tips that I've given you and let's make a change today. If you made it this far though, go on and do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace, love, and riches. I'm out.